Hi everyone, welcome to the K-pop Callout, a podcast where we have the conversations that K-pop fans don't have. I'm True.
And I'm honest.
And today's discussion topic is going to be to unstan or not to unstan.
Yeah. So would you like to clarify the topic first, True?
Sure. So today we wanted to have a discussion about what goes into the decision making when it comes to choosing to unstan or to not unstan your favorite idols when they do something like problematic or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's really not something that K-pop fans really talk about at all.
Yeah,
and
they don't.
We'll share our own like personal experiences with it too.
Yeah, this isn't stuff that K-pop fans ever talk about because I think a lot of K-pop fans feel like whether they choose to unstan or not unstan, I think like they kind of feel like either way they might feel like it makes them like look quote unquote bad.
Yeah,
to
it's
other
like
fans.
a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose situation, exactly. It's a lose-lose situation when like your faves do something problematic and then you're kind of faced with this dilemma of like, do I keep standing them or not? And
Yeah.
K-pop fans just can't have like level-headed discussions about this because people get it. It's a very like emotionally charged like matter. And so they can't be like objective or calm about it when talking about it.
Yeah. And for people who don't want to fight, it's the easiest to just like ignore the whole thing.
Yeah,
and like pretend that it didn't happen.
Yeah, ignore it and stay quiet. Yeah, well, that's what most people end up doing. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then for today's discussion, we have a few questions that we're each going to go through, and like we'll take turns asking the questions and then we'll both kind of give our answers or like kind of share our stories, share our stories or opinions or theories for each question. Yeah. And then we'll have a discussion and kind of like, I don't know if it'll be a debate necessarily, but we'll kind of answer the questions together. There might possibly be some debate too, just because we are coming from two different kind of perspectives and like different like decisions and like different thought processes with regards to this.
Yeah. I like give some context. So there was a time when we both stand the same group and they did something problematic. So we're gonna mostly talk about that incident, like our own experiences with that. And I think that's gonna be very interesting because like we experienced the same thing and came from the same spot, but our thoughts were pretty different.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, did you want to like read the first question then, True?
Yeah. So question 1. What were the mental and emotional processes or stages that we went through at the time? Like, what was the experience like? What were our mental and emotional journeys during those months?
Yeah.
So you can answer this one first, honest.
Okay. So, I kind of have a lot to say. I mean, I think we both have a lot to say for all of these questions. So,
yeah,
it might feel a bit monologue-y, which I know might be a little bit boring to listen to. But like,
just go.
I think we
just go.
Yeah, yeah. We both have like our stories. So, yeah. So when the incident first happened, so like we both stand the same idol group. And that idol group did something problematic, and it became like a whole thing. Like it was kind of like there was a lot of chaos in the fandom over it, and like a lot of people taking different sides and doing different things. Yeah. So for me, when that happened, this sounds a bit dramatic, but I honestly feel like I went through like the 5 stages of grief, sort of. Like, I mean, I never, except for like denial. Like I was never like in denial about it. Like I think a lot of fans were, but like it was just like a lot of like disbelief and disappointment with the idols and just kind of like Like, I just couldn't believe that they did that, sort of. Because it just kind of was, like, in
Yeah.
contrast with how I viewed them, I guess, as, like, people and whatever. And, like, at first, I wanted to make things better and see if I could help change the situation by trying to make the members aware in hopes that they would apologize and make things right. However, like, when there was a lot of resistance and, like, a lack of support from the fandom, because a lot of fans didn't want us to educate the members and or just couldn't be bothered to do anything about it, like, not even retweet or send a template to the members, which takes, like, 5 seconds. Like, I started to feel, like, really
Yeah.
angry and hopeless with regards to the situation. And I thought if the members could be made aware of their mistake and learn and apologize, then that would resolve the icky feelings I had inside about them and the situation. But since there was never any resolution, like, the whole thing just kind of got swept under the rug, as always. I was left with all of these uncomfortable feelings towards the idols that I didn't know what to do with. And I actually remember searching online to see what other fans' experiences were like with regards to stuff like this, and to see if other fans chose to unstan their favorite idols or not when they did something problematic. And I didn't find much stuff about it because fans don't really talk about the process of unstanning idols. Like, they just, like, I feel like fans, they just unstand if they choose to unstand, but they don't talk about the reasons or what they went through or how they came to that decision or how they felt
Yeah.
about that decision. And I remember it was really hard. I had a really hard time during that period. It was a really dark period for me, like, emotionally, mentally, life. Like, I just remember that whole period just, like, felt so dark and, like, foggy and, like, depressing for, like, especially, like, those, like, first couple months. Like,
Yeah.
that, like, it was one of the lowest lows in my life. And I know that maybe that might seem dramatic to some people, but, like, it was, like, it really had a big impact on me. And, like, it went on for months. And I just felt so conflicted and didn't know what to do because I really loved that group. Like, they were my alt back then. I was super attached to them and really invested in them and their success and really wanted to support them in every way. And they were so special to me and were, I mean, this sounds kind of cheesy, but they were, like, honestly, like, the light in my life, or, like, they were, like, what I looked forward to. You know what I
Oh
mean?
my
And, like,
god, this is so sad.
I mean, that's yeah. I mean, like, I really liked them so much. They were really special to me. And, like, it felt like when this incident happened, like, it felt like a really bad falling out with a super close friend or something. Like, falling out of being close friends and deciding not to be friends anymore or something. Like, someone you see and hear every day and have a lot of affectionate feelings for, and who you really care about and look forward to seeing and want to have in your life. And, like, I felt like I lost someone really close to me and important to me. Like, that's how the incident made me feel about them. And I was grieving, like, that loss for quite a while. Like, the loss of, like, I guess, who I thought they were, or, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of felt like suddenly I kind of felt distance from them because of that incident. It was kind of just sort of grieving, like, that loss of that kind of connection with them, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah. So that was my experience, like, when the whole thing kind of went down, and, like, my initial sort of, like, mental and emotional processes.
Oh wow. I honestly I got emotional when you were
Really?
talking about that
Really? Really?
because we met through this incident, like when it happened and
Mhm,
when we were like making the templates or whatever. That's how we met. But
mhm.
like I never saw you be their fan really. Like
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
still fans and like trying to uh make them aware of the situation, like,
Mhm.
or like we were both fans still, like we hadn't
Yeah.
made up the decision to unstand or continue standing, like
Mhm.
um then yet, but like obviously you weren't like tweeting about them excitedly anymore. And I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
you showing me some of your old tweets from when you did stand them,
Mhm.
and it just felt kind of um
Weird.
weird.
Probably felt
Yeah,
weird, yeah,
weird.
yeah.
Like, wow, there was a time when Honest really was like this into them.
Mhm,
So I knew that you were into them, but this explanation just really like
mhm.
really made it like, how should I say it? Like,
Like, clear or, like,
yeah,
um
really
yeah.
clarified it for me.
Mhm,
Like they really were like everything to you.
mhm.
And like, yeah, I guess I never really knew how much you loved them. And like, bruh, I almost cried. You almost made me cry. Because that's like so relatable and like sad and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I really liked them a lot, like yeah. It was really sad, it was really devastating for me because I really, really liked them a lot, and then with the incident when this incident happened, I just, like I don't know. Like, there were just all these kind of, uh I just had all these kind of, like, just sad and disappointed, negative feelings inside because of it, and I just kind of felt like that connection with them had been severed. So, yeah, it
mm,
was it was sad. Like I said, it was like losing, like, a close friend or something, like,
yeah.
deciding to, like, not be friends with someone anymore or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what about you? Like, what was, your experience kind of in, like, the initial aftermath of the incident?
Well, first, uh, it's funny because when I was writing this down, um,
Mhm.
I also thought about like the 7 stages of grief.
The
Um,
5 stages?
yeah, the
Whatever number. It's fine.
So, firstly, it was like panic. Like,
Mm.
um, from the second that I heard, uh, I cried. Um, because I knew what they did was always gonna be out there.
Mhm.
So like I panicked over what is going to happen to them. And I was disappointed at the same time. But it was like kinda, I wasn't ready for disappointment yet. It was kinda covered by denial a little bit, I guess.
Mhm.
Like I was like, I know they're not actually like this. Like I know they were just stupid and didn't think. So I guess I was like denying it a little bit. But yeah, I knew that they were going to get blamed, and I knew that I was going to have to fight or argue for them.
Mhm.
And I knew how tiring that is because I had been doing that before. Like
Mhm.
there's this other idol I stand at that time, who some people perceive as being problematic because of the things that they did a long time ago, while not while I had been their fan. Um,
Yeah, like, you
and
became their fan, like, way after they had done those things.
yeah, and in my early years of standing them, I tried to fight for them, like fully aware that I didn't condone their actions either. Like I was
Mhm.
not fine with those actions, but like I was trying to excuse myself for standing this person, I guess.
Mhm.
Like I didn't want to say that it wasn't wrong to do those things because it was. Uh but yeah, I was just trying to excuse those actions.
Yeah,
And
like, make excuses for
yeah,
them. Yeah.
and that was freaking exhausting.
Mhm.
So eventually I just gave up. Like I was done with that. And I have been done with that for a long time now. Um, I didn't want to sink that low anymore. But now that my favorite group uh, did something problematic, I knew that there was a possibility that I could sink that low again. Because
Sink
these
that
people,
low again?
yeah.
Sink that low again? Like, make excuses for their behavior or something, you mean?
Yeah, and like perhaps like try to fight for them, or like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Oh,
because
that's
these
interesting.
people, yeah.
I didn't know you were kind of conflicted like that. Because, like, so you could have easily been on the other side then, where like most fans were, which was like making
um
excuses for them. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, like I don't want to say that I could have been on the other side, but like it's not completely the same thing, because the people who excuse their idols problematic actions usually don't think that those actions are or were problematic, but
Mm-hmm.
um I knew that they are or were. So like
Mm-hmm.
I don't go out there like don't attack them. They were actually like really ignorant at this time, and like they know better now, like I swear. Like I would I would never do that anymore, because like
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like, even when you're not trying to make excuses for them, you are like that is making excuses for them, and you're making excuses for yourself too. And like it's just weird. And back then I felt the need to protect the idol, I guess, in that way, and like the idol's image.
You mean like back when you first were a K-pop fan, is what you're trying to say, right?
Yeah,
Not during this
like
incident.
yeah, like back in my early years of being a fan, like I felt like when I saw a hate comment of someone calling this idol out, like calling someone out is not hate, but sometimes they call out the way that people call an idol out can be like hatery,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there can be some misinfo in there as
Yeah.
well, usually is. And like sometimes it's just really hateful. So before I felt the urge to like protect the idol and like, be a warrior. So I would be like, yeah, this part is right, but this part is wrong. And like, there could be something that I could correct.
Mm-hmm.
But like now, during this incident, I don't think, even if there was some misinfo going around, I don't think I would just like have the energy to do it at all, because it's not my responsibility to be a warrior if I'm a fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just being a fan.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because these people were more important to me than the other idol, like the most important to me. I did have like a
He just because these idols were more important than the other idol, it was different.
I mean
I know. I mean,
I
it's like how all parents have a favorite child; they just don't always like say it out loud.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's like I had a concern. Like I was like, I'm concerned that I will start to, become a warrior again, and that's just freaking tiring, and I don't want to do that. And like, or if I don't become a warrior, I will keep seeing hate. I will keep seeing people hate this group, even if I
Mm-hmm.
don't do anything about it. Like, just seeing it is exhausting, and like seeing all the misinfo going around. And I mean, even just seeing the parts that are right is like exhausting, obviously. And like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there was just a lot of feelings that I felt, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, Actually, that was not all. Sorry. I thought for
That's
a second
fine.
that that
Was
was
that a side
the
tangent? I
end
was
of
like,
it.
is this the end or is this a side tangent?
That was only the first part.
Okay, keep
Um,
going, keep going.
so yeah, after that was like the action phase. Make them understand that what they did was wrong, so that they could apologize and make it at least somewhat better. An apology doesn't make what you've done undone, but it's taking accountability.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like a list of feelings I felt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not too concerned about these people's morals because I still think that what they did was mostly out of ignorance. But I'm still disappointed and bothered by the fact that they did something that I think is morally wrong and I wouldn't do. So their morals not aligning with mine wasn't really a concern, but I guess a little bit.
It wasn't a concern that much, is what you're saying?
Yeah, because
Okay.
I had a feeling that it's like mostly it was mostly ignorance, but it's also like but wouldn't they just know this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it was a concern a little bit, but like not my biggest concern
Okay.
because I felt like I knew my idols. Like I felt like they must not think like this, like right? Like they must not.
Mm-hmm. So denial is what you're saying?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
denial, I guess.
Yeah.
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 And the other or like the next thing on the list is I'm concerned over the morals of the fandom. I'm disgusted and disturbed how most people just don't seem to care. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that was just like, well, not surprising, but like, I guess it opened my eyes. Like, this whole case just like opened my eyes at like just how horrible the fandom is.
Yeah.
Like,
That was really the biggest takeaway from this incident was how horrible the fandom proved that they were. In so
yeah,
many ways too. Not even just like I mean it's already bad that like most of them were like didn't care and were like making excuses for it, but you kind of expect that from K-pop fans, but like people were actually being horrible. Like they were people and they were just like people were so loud. There were just so many accounts were very very loud during that time and saying all kinds of this like shit that I couldn't believe. Yeah, they were like the fandom really proved how horrible they were
yeah,
during that incident. And it's like, yeah, that alone just makes you like not want to be in the fandom anymore, not want to have anything to do with any of that anymore.
yeah, definitely. And because of my past with having to argue with other K pop fans trying to make excuses for my idol, I knew how important apologies are. If there's no apology, you kind of like can't make a case for them that they have changed.
Mm-hmm.
So, to be the most honest with you, that was my biggest motivation for getting the apology at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true though. Like idols who actually do apologize, especially right away, it's like it's not an issue then because then you know the message has been received and that they're like, okay, gotcha. I shouldn't do this. You know, it's like they have demonstrated that they kind of like they understand now and that they're going to try to be better and they want to try to make it right. Like because there
Yeah,
are I mean even though it feels kind of rare like there are some idols who like they do just kind of like apologize right away and like so it doesn't ever even become like an issue because they're like oh sorry my bad I didn't realize that like I'm really really
yeah,
sorry I didn't mean to offend anyone I'm sorry if people were hurt by what I said or did like I got it now I won't do it again I promise and then like
yeah.
they really don't and then they demonstrate with their actions that they really like they really do get it and they like don't do stuff like that anymore.
Yeah, it's like if you apologize, like it's good that people do forgive. Like I think that
Mm-hmm.
that's just kind of like a um in my personal life, if someone apologizes to me, it just, it just if they really mean it, it's good to forgive. But you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to every time, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes people just really like start acting like the thing that they did like didn't even happen, like it's just gone suddenly
Mm-hmm.
when the apology comes. And like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's a debate, like how
Mm-hmm.
much should the apology to affect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's good. Like I think the biggest thing is like when they apologize, they like recognize that they did something wrong, and there's like you know, like you the message has been received and that they like are hopefully
Yeah.
like learning from it and gonna be better. And so I feel like that is like, for me, that's kind of like what I focus on personally. But yeah, obviously it doesn't erase like what they did.
Yeah.
And that should still also kind of be taken into account because it's kind of like, why did it happen in the first place? Sort of, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. It kind of depends on like how good the apology is.
Well, how good the apology is and also what they did, like, because we're talking about,
Yeah.
like, when we say problematic behavior, there's, like, a whole range. Like, I think an
Yeah.
apology is kind of like if they were genuinely ignorant and they made a mistake and they're like, "Oh, I didn't realize, you know, now I get it and I won't do it again," and they, like, are sincere and then they really, like, demonstrate that they get it and they don't do it again, then I think that's good. But obviously, you know, if they did something more extreme, I feel like, yeah, there needs to be more than an apology. Or an apology shouldn't, like, you know, be like a get out of jail free card, sort of.
Yeah. And there definitely are things that some idols have done where it's like no amount of apologies could ever like
Yeah,
work.
erase that, yeah.
Yeah. Um, but I was still motivated by the thought of everyone who got hurt getting the apology. Obviously, like I feel empathy. um,
Mm-hmm.
but like I said, due to my past, my biggest concern was the future arguments about this and the idol's overall image. And I also wanted to have confirmation for myself that this idol's morals do align with mine. So there
Mm-hmm.
were like multiple reasons and motivations to like try to get them to like apologize. But it's like kind of, you know, hard to admit that it was mostly like for protecting the idol, I guess. Like that's kind of uh obsessive behavior. Like I guess that just shows how dependent I was on that group at that time. Like
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't want to sink that low, but I was like trying to make it easier for me and the idol for the future.
Mm.
Like there should be the apology. Like the apology should exist so we have proof that these people are better now.
Okay, so that's interesting. So you were kind of, your main motivation though for wanting to get them to apologize was like to protect them, sort of.
Yeah, like again, I feel empathy for the people who got hurt, but like to be very honest, that was like the main thing when I thought about it.
Oh, okay. Because for me, like, I mean, obviously, that was on my mind a little bit about how, I mean, I just, in my mind, I thought, well, this would be the best solution for everyone. It'd be the best for the idols and for the fans too, and like all the people who were like
Mm,
affected by like what they did. But for me, the biggest thing was like, I just saw it as like a moral transgression. Like I
mm,
like saw it as like, you know, they did something immoral and demonstrated that they like they don't align with my values or standing them doesn't align with my values. And so like for me it was about like I want them to apologize to try and make it right. You know what I mean? I feel like that was like the biggest thing for me is like they did something wrong, they should be made aware of it and learn from it and apologize and try to make it right. Like that was just kind of like my main focus.
yeah,
I was just really bothered by what they did and I was like apologizing was the right thing to do. I think that's just kind of like what I was focused on, that it was the right thing to do and that I wanted them to be
yeah,
better. I wanted them to learn and be better and not like keep doing things like that.
yeah. Like, okay, that was a big thing for me too. Like, I did say at the end, I
Mhm.
wanted to have confirmation for myself that these idols' morals do align with mine.
But when you say it
So,
like that, you wanted confirmation that their morals align with yours. It sounds like so you don't have to feel conflicted about standing them. That's kind of how it sounds to me when you say it like that.
um, Yeah, I guess that's how it sounds like. But you said it better. Like,
Okay.
I was like offended by the fact that they did that and disappointed. And I knew that it was wrong and I couldn't believe that they did that. So, like, yeah. But, it wasn't like my number one concern or motivation. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
I feel like I sound like a horrible person, but like,
No, no, but
ah,
like the thing is like most fans are like you. So,
yeah.
so is there anything else you'd like to add for this like first question? Like anything more that you kind of wanted to like respond to, or are you good to move on to the next question?
We can move on. That was everything.
Okay. All right. So I'll read the second question then. And then, like I said, for each question, I'm going to give my kind of story or response first. And then True will give hers. And then we'll kind of discuss more towards the end.
Yeah.
Question two is, what were the reasons why we chose to unstand or not unstand in the end? Or, like, what were our motivations for unstanding or not unstanding?
Yeah.
So for me, I didn't necessarily want to unstand them. It's just I felt like I didn't really have any other choice because I felt like they and their music had become tainted for me because of this incident. Like
Yeah.
I just felt uncomfortable and unsettled and icky inside whenever I saw them or heard them, them being the idols. And like I couldn't look at them the same way or feel the same way about them that I did before. And I just like felt disillusioned kind of because I realized after that incident that they weren't exactly the kind of people I thought they were. Like I realized that I liked who I thought the idols were, but then this incident served as a reminder that they aren't exactly the kind of people I always thought they were and wanted to believe they were. I was really disappointed, and the company and the fandom just made it even worse. Like, I just felt so uncomfortable with the idols and the fandom after that, and I knew that nothing would make it better. So I chose to unstand them in the end.
Yeah.
And like and aside from just like feeling uncomfortable like with the idols and the fandom, like I also just don't want to tolerate problematic behavior because like a lot of people, especially K-pop fans, tend to not call out problematic behavior and they're quick to dismiss it and excuse it. And
Yeah.
there are so many counter arguments I can make to all the fans who are like, you know, quote unquote, they're Korean, they don't know better. Like I
Yeah.
could make so many
Yeah.
counter arguments, like so many to all of those points, but I'm not going to get into that right now.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, like they're just babying the idols and saying whatever to try and excuse their behavior because fans don't want to have conflicted feelings about the idols they stand.
Yeah.
But like I will say this, like I'm not going to get into my counter arguments, but I will say this. Korea is a society and culture that is heavily influenced by Confucianism and Buddhism and like Christianity too, but if we're thinking more about like the traditional or like ingrained cultural values in Korea, and like Confucian within Confucianism and Buddhism, like that includes like the quote unquote golden rule. I'm not sure if you've heard of that. It's like almost like a universal kind of moral principle or value. And like
I'm not
yeah,
sure. Maybe I have, but
yeah, so like the golden rule is like don't do to others what you wouldn't want others to do to you or treat
yeah.
others how you want to be treated. Like the golden rule exists like in almost all cultures and religions. Like there's some variation of it.
Yeah.
So like that is something that they like Koreans know and a value that is imparted on them and encouraged in Korean culture as it is in most if not all
Yeah.
cultures. Like obviously not everyone in any culture adheres to it or practices it, but what I'm trying to say is if someone doesn't adhere to it, then that's a personal choice or problem, not a cultural or societal one, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's what like empathy is like built on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's something that it's like there's different variations, but like I think in almost every culture and like religion, there's some kind of phrase that gets repeated. Like, you know, like when you're a little kid or something, you know, like treat others how
Yeah.
you want to be treated, you know, don't do things to others that you wouldn't want them to do to you. Like those are things like those are kind of like cultural or societal morals or values that we're just kind of brought up with, and
Yeah.
those are also present in Confucianism and Buddhism, which are like Korean society and culture is like heavily influenced by. So it's like
Mm.
it's not like they are unfamiliar with like, you know, empathy and like treating others right and like not doing things to other
Yeah.
people. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're brought up with like being like, okay, so if you don't want someone to like, you know, treat you this way, then you don't do that to them. Like it's like they are brought up hearing those things and being told those things, like whether or not they, you know, like I said, like have those things in mind or practice those things is a different matter. But like it's not like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like K-pop fans, like international fans, and maybe Korean ones too, I don't know, they always are like, oh, in like they're Korean, they don't know better, or we don't know much about things that, you know, people in other cultures know about or something. It's like, but you do know like how to treat people with respect and empathy. Like you do know that that is a part of
Yeah.
your culture and your
Yeah.
cultural
And a part
values.
of
And
every culture.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's like I just don't buy the whole they're Korean, they don't know better. It's like, yes, not all like kind of social issues are like have the same awareness in every like society and culture, but like there are these like basic principles about like how you should treat people and like
Yeah.
show respect for people and empathize with people in like every culture, and they are familiar with that. So
Yeah. But it is true that like people who are not Korean are like they are treated differently by Koreans.
yeah, they are. Yeah, they are, exactly. Like they are treated differently. I mean, there is discrimination and ignorance
Yeah,
in
but that
every
doesn't
country,
mean
in
that
every
it
culture.
should be excused.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's discrimination in every culture, and discrimination, ignorance in every culture, but that doesn't mean it should be excused and overlooked. Because if you're always like, oh, they don't know better, they don't know better, well, then you're just not holding them accountable and like giving them any incentive to be better.
Yeah, and you're
Yeah.
just saying that being racist, for example, is a part of their culture.
Yeah. Well, they're just like, I personally would find it insulting if someone was like, you know, we're saying about me, oh, you're from such and such country, you don't know better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like sort of
definitely.
like it's they're generalizing like an entire culture sort of, and for based on like individuals' personal mistakes or like, you know, demonstrations of ignorance or bigotry or something like that. And it's kind of like yes, there isn't as much awareness in Korean culture about stuff like that, but like I said, there are these basic principles of like how you should treat people, you know what I mean, at the very
Yeah.
least. And so it's kind of like if you actually like internalize those things and like try to treat people with respect and like empathize with other people, even people who are different from you, then you're just not going to do those things, even if you don't know everything about what could possibly be offensive to other people. If you just kind of ask yourself, would I want someone to do like something like this to me? And the answer is no. And then you kind of let that guide your decision making in what in terms of what you say and do, then you're just like not going to do things that are going to offend people, like for the most part. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously there can be some things where it's like you legitimate like there are things where it's like you could legitimately not know about something, but for other things I think it's like for this incident, at least that we're like kind of talking about, like that was really just a matter of like not empathizing with people or being respectful to people and like
Yeah.
other cultures and stuff like that. And it's kind of like if you wouldn't want people to be like disrespectful to you and your culture and stuff like that, like, you know, then and you kind of had that in mind, then you just wouldn't do that to other people, you know. But anyways.
Yeah. One thing that I had to say before,
Hmm.
um, it was like to the thing. about like you said, people don't want to have conflicted feelings, so that's why they wait, what did you say?
I said they're just babying their idols and saying whatever to try and excuse their behavior because fans don't want to have conflicted feelings about the idols they
Yeah,
stand. Yeah.
it's like they either want to excuse it completely, like stay ignorant and like say they did nothing wrong, or it's easier to just like um unstand and like leave completely. But like I'm in like in between those things, and like I get it. Like I get it's really hard to like have conflicted feelings. Like
Hmm. Hmm. I don't know if I would say it'd be easier to unstand because if unstanding was easy,
yeah,
then more fans would do it.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
that's for
It's
a
not.
later.
Yeah,
Later.
it's not easy, but no one
Hmm.
wants to have conflicted feelings. No one wants to
Yeah.
be in between. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Like you're like in limbo is what you're saying. Sort
yeah,
of. You're in limbo because like it's like you have conflicted feelings, but you're like I don't want to excuse them or I'm not excusing them, but I also don't want to unstand.
yeah. Like I don't think I can even say that I'm consistently in one place. It's like I'm going in circles in the limbo.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. You're just constantly stuck in limbo. Yeah.
Yeah. Um so did you have
Yeah, I had
something
some
else?
more. Yeah. So another thing is, I think it's worth saying, like with the group we both stand, like that incident wasn't the first time they did or said something problematic. It's just
Yeah.
like without giving too much away for past incidents, it wasn't the members' idea or something that they did or said spontaneously on their own. Like there were other people who could be blamed more for it than the members for the other incidents. But there were multiple incidents like this one in a relatively short span of time. And every time there were fans who contacted the company and who wrote letters in the fan cafe for the members to read and message them on their social media accounts regarding these incidents and who tried to educate them and let them know what they did was wrong and that they should apologize. So it had kind of become a pattern of problematic behavior or incidents by time this particular incident happened. And
Mm.
before,
I actually forgot about those other things, but I remember now.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's been a long time now, but like at the
Yeah.
time, that was kind of on my mind, sort of. And that was kind of one of the
Yeah.
things I was taking into account when
Yeah.
kind of deciding what to do. And like before, like for the previous incidents, like before this incident, I was like, okay, there are other people who are more responsible for these incidents than the members. And I did still try to help create awareness and educate the members like during the past incidents as well. Because like they should be informed and made aware so that they don't keep saying and doing things that are problematic and offensive and hurtful to people. But when this particular incident happened, and it totally was the member's idea and fault and couldn't be blamed on anyone else, I just
Yeah.
couldn't overlook it. And I didn't want to overlook it either. And I just don't want to stand or support people who do problematic things and don't even acknowledge their mistakes or apologize or learn from them. And
Yeah.
like it just keeps happening and they don't care enough to educate themselves or to empathize with other people or practice basic respect and decency towards others. Like sure, people are allowed to make mistakes, but you should listen and learn and apologize and try to make things right and try to be better and empathize more with other people if you do make a mistake and do say or do something that's problematic,
Yeah.
but they just like weren't doing that and they weren't going to, so I didn't want to stand them or support them anymore. And like I
Yeah.
guess
Like
mhm.
I think companies and idols think that it's like embarrassing to admit that you did
Mhm.
something wrong.
Mhm.
And sure, it might be a little embarrassing, but it's actually like a lot cooler to like admit that you're wrong. Like more
Mhm.
cool than embarrassing. Like the thing that you did is the embarrassing thing. You
Mhm.
apologizing is cool. And
Mhm.
like yeah, the companies, like we haven't really like gotten into the company stuff because this is about like us unstanding or uh
Not
continuing to
unstanding.
not unstanding the idols. Like it's not about being a company stan, but like yeah, it's the company is just, you know, its own entity in this
Mhm.
kind of situation. Like it
Mhm.
it can make things even more complicated. In most cases it does.
Mhm. Makes
um
things worse because they don't want to do their
yeah,
jobs. They don't
yeah,
want to do their jobs like to protect their idols or like
yeah,
reputation management or like kind of just like make sure they're not doing anything to like lose fans because that's like hurts their profits and stuff like that.
yeah, but they
They
don't
just
realize that like
they don't think about that at
apologizing
all. Yeah, yeah.
apologizing would actually like bring the fans back.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's like they don't it's so stupid, but it's like they don't care if they lose money and they don't care about protecting their idols or doing reputation management. Like, yeah, they just like weren't they just don't want to work or do their jobs at all. And like
Yeah, yeah,
but anyways, so like I mean, I guess if I were to like sum it up more concisely, basically it goes against my values and my values are like the biggest motivation for a lot of my decisions and actions. Like I'm a very value driven person, so unstanding them was the natural decision or outcome for me given the situation.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Hmm. Yeah, so that's my those are the reasons why I chose to unstand them in the end.
Yeah. I guess it's my turn.
Yeah.
um in this case, a part of it was definitely the fact that it could be passed off as ignorance.
Hmm.
Like there are some things that other K-pop idols have done that I would not tolerate. Definitely.
Hmm.
Even
Hmm.
if it was my favorite idol. Like no. There's definitely a line that I have. So since this incident didn't cross that line, uh, and it could have just been ignorance, and this group was all I had, I didn't even really see unstanding as an option.
Mm. That's interesting for me because I felt like I had no choice but to say it like that was my only option, and for you, you felt like it wasn't
Yeah,
even an option.
yeah, I thought
So
that.
different.
That was interesting. Like, we both felt the same way. Like, this is the only way that I can continue.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I was definitely upset. Like, I wasn't okay.
Hmm.
I wasn't okay with it completely, anyways, but okay enough, I guess.
Hmm.
And I didn't have any other like huge interests at that time. And I kind of
Hmm.
need to be, I kind of need to have an obsession on something.
Hmm.
So, like, um, yeah, at this time, I just felt like I didn't have anything else. And like, you felt like that too, but you could still go through with it. But for me, it's like, I guess because I already am standing someone who has done like problematic things in the past, though they were in the past and not done during the time that I've been their fan. You know,
Hmm.
it's slightly different. It's easier to like um I guess apologize. I mean, forgive them for their past actions.
Yeah, it's easy to kind of be like, oh, that happened a long time ago and they haven't done anything for a really long time. So you can kind of like
Yeah.
safely assume that they get it, that they've kind of learned and like have changed, hopefully.
Yeah. But like this time, like this happened like today.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just like I could pass it off as they just didn't think, like they were being dumb. But yeah, it's not like it was easy. Like I wasn't right away like, okay, I'm happy I'm with you again, or
Hmm.
like whatever. Like, no, I had it rough after this, but I'll get more into it in question 3.
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, those were like the basic reasons why I chose to continue standing this
Hmm.
group. Like I
Hmm.
just could not unstand. I had no um
You didn't feel like you had any other choice or like there was any other way forward, sort of?
yeah,
Yeah.
ever since I found this group, like this is all I knew. Like I didn't know how to go back to a life without them.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that that's like very relatable for a lot of K-pop fans, and like that's like the big reason why a lot of K-pop fans don't understand their faves, even when they do problematic things, like and especially like or like even if they do like multiple problematic things and have like multiple incidents where they like don't apologize and like nothing is done about it and they just keep making the same mistakes. Um,
Yeah.
like that's kind of yeah. We'll get into that more in question 4, but that's kind of like been my impression, sort of like why a lot of K-pop fans ultimately decide to keep standing their faves, even if they feel conflicted. It's because like they can't imagine like going forward, or they can't imagine a life without their faves. Sort of like
Yeah.
that's just too hard, so they just kind of like tell themselves what they need to in order to be able to like move forward and keep standing them basically because that's easier than going through the process of unstanding.
Yeah.
All right, so are we good to move on to question 3 then?
Yeah, I think we are.
Okay.
So I'll just read it out loud.
Okay.
Question 3. How did we feel after making our decisions to unstand or not unstand? And yeah, you can respond first.
Okay. So after making the decision to unstand the group, I felt like I made the right decision, but part of me felt bothered by the fact that I was one of very few fans who actually unstand them. Like,
Yeah.
and I totally understand the reasons why a lot of K-pop fans choose not to unstand their faves, even when they say and do problematic things. And I'm not saying that my decision was quote unquote right and the others' decisions were quote unquote wrong, but it still bothered me for a while, like for quite a while. Like, I didn't understand how most fans could just go back to standing them normally again as if nothing happened, even though they
Mm.
felt and thought similarly to how I did with regards to the incident and the members. And like it's hard to describe, like like left out isn't exactly what I mean, but it was like kind of something similar to that. Like I felt like I was out of place or out of alignment with everyone else because I cared so much about this incident and it affected me so much, like in terms of how it changed the way I saw like the group and felt about the group, even though like they were my alt group back then.
Yeah.
But then it felt like most of the fans who agreed that what they did was problematic and like a big deal, they still just kept standing them in the same way after the incident anyways, and I didn't really get that at all. But like yeah, so that was part of like kind of how I was feeling like sort of like after making my decision. But like anyways, there's more.
Did
Or you could
uh
yeah, you could say.
did you wish that you were able to move on and to like continue standing them, or like were you proud
No.
of what you, like proud of yourself to like
I
have unstand them, having to unstand them?
I was I mean, I don't know if proud is the right word. Like I felt
Yeah,
like I
not
made the right
proud,
yeah,
but like,
yeah, I felt like I
yeah.
made the yeah, I felt like I made the right decision. No, there wasn't a part of me that wished I could keep standing them in the same way, but it was more like I felt like like when the incident happened, it was like a very emotionally charged time for everyone. And like there were a lot of, well, not a lot, there were some people similar to me who they were also very like passionate about it and like who felt really affected by it and conflicted about the members because of what they did. But then like they were somehow able to pivot and like go back to standing them again. And for some of them it seemed like they just went back to standing them as if nothing happened,
Yeah.
you know, even though like they were like kind of in the same place or like they felt and thought the same way I did. So I just from my point of view, I couldn't understand how like pretty much everyone except for me, it felt like, I mean, I wasn't the only one, but it kind of felt like I was the only one, sort of, at least among the people that I interacted with and knew about,
Yeah,
who
I guess.
unstand, and everyone else went back. Everyone else just went back to standing them, and so it's like I just felt it was kind of like I said, it's hard to describe. Like it was like left out isn't the right word, like I said, but it's like I said, I felt like I was kind of like out of alignment with other people, sort of, or like not on the same wavelength with a lot of people, and like so it's hard to explain, but like I guess I don't want to say I felt resentful of the people who kept standing them, but I did kind of have like some icky feelings sort of about like people continuing to stand them, even though like they like agreed that what they did was wrong and that it was a big deal and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like, we actually don't know how those people actually felt, like, in their heads, because those people could have just been like acting as if nothing happened to kind of like brainwash themselves.
Hmm.
um so like it would be easier to for them to like forget and like move on, but we have no idea, like maybe they were going through a lot.
Yeah, but like even you and like another fan that we like talked a lot during that time, like you guys continued to stand the group and I was the only one who didn't unstand, and so like you guys would
Mm,
interact and talk about the group, and you know what I mean, and like when their new content came out and when they had comebacks and stuff like that, like you guys were following all of that and talking about all that, and like I was kind of left out of that because I had unfollowed them and didn't want to like
yeah,
hear
that was
about them
months
for a while.
after. That was months after, probably,
No,
because like they
no,
didn't
it
have a comeback
wasn't.
right away.
It wasn't though. It wasn't.
When?
They had like a comeback, like just like, you know, pretty I won't give a timeline, but pretty freshly, I would say, still after the incident had happened. And you guys were like
Mm,
talking about it, and like it kind of, I get like maybe on the inside I know that you were dealing with some stuff, but like from my point of
yeah.
view at the time it seemed like you had like just like moved on, or were like kind of like it felt like you were kind of acting like it had never happened, sort of. And I get like after like a while after, like once you had kind of gotten through, you know, some
Yeah.
months or whatever, you told me like no, actually like on the inside I was very conflicted and like thinking about it a lot, but like you had never, like you didn't talk to me about it at the time. So from my point of view it felt like you guys like weren't that affected by it and were able to just kind of keep standing them in the same way as
Yeah.
before, you know. And so I just was like, so you guys were my friends, and I was like, I didn't interact with that many people back then, you know, like on
Yeah.
Twitter. That's what we're talking about, on Twitter. And like, so it's like, okay, so my two of my good like Twitter friends that I talk to, interact with like a fair amount or a lot, like in the case of you and me, are like, you know, just back to standing this group after like all this shit that we went through, sort of, as if nothing
Yeah.
happened. And so yeah, like can you imagine, do you understand what I mean when I say I felt kind of left
Yeah, I
out, or like
understand. Like,
we weren't in sync or something, sort of.
yeah, like I had no idea that that made you feel like left out, but totally I understand why you would. And it's like, I know it must have looked like we're like crazy or something, because like a few months back we were like fighting for the
Hmm.
apology and like um
Hmm.
talking about this like every day and stuff. But yeah, for me the comeback happened like like too early for me to,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like a way for me to like kind of go back. Like it was a chance for me to, I guess, forget. Like I didn't want to forget, and I didn't want to forget. I wasn't going to forget it ever. But like it was a way for me to like kind of get back to standing and like, yeah, it sounds like why would you want to stand or like be active in the fandom if you didn't feel like you were ready? But um I guess I also could not help a little bit because I was just so into them, and
Mm-hmm.
like it's really hard to move on but also never forget. Like
Mm-hmm.
because just, you know, my morals my morals don't allow me to like just forget something like that. So it was
Mm-hmm.
important to me to like remember it and like never forget, but be okay with it to a point where I could like continue standing. And like
Mm-hmm.
that is a really like slippery slope, or
Mm-hmm.
like how do you guys
It's a
say
hard, no,
it?
it's a hard balance to strike. I think that's what you're trying to say. It's a hard
Yeah,
balance to strike. It's hard to like kind of do both, like be able to move forward and feel okay with everything without like kind of
ignoring
um
it.
ignoring or dismissing it or like forgetting about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was really just trying to build, I don't even know how to say this, but like,
You were trying to like kind of I guess like find your way or like kind of trying to strike the right balance, but
yeah,
it was hard sort of to figure out how to do that.
yeah, so it must have come off as like um come off very differently on the timeline and on our DMs, but that was what was going on in my head.
Hmm. Yeah. Choosing to unstan or not unstan is like a very personal decision, and there are like a lot of reasons why. Like I knew then and I know now. Like there are a lot of reasons why people choose to either. There are a lot of reasons why people choose not to unstan because that's I'm just gonna say that because that's like the most common choice or the most common decision that K-pop fans tend to make. So it's like
Yeah,
I
it's
understand
the
that you guys
easiest, I
yeah,
guess, or like
yeah.
for not for you, but you know, for like
Mhm.
most people, the easiest way is to just ignore and like
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah, and so I get that you guys have your reasons, but yeah, there was a part of me that felt kind of like resentful. Like I thought we were kind of all like in the same boat, but then like you guys just stayed and I was the only one who left.
Yeah. So this has been part one of the discussion, and it will continue in the next episode. So remember to listen to it. The discussion will continue.
All right, well, that's it for today's discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and set notifications if you would like to get alerts when there are new episodes of the K-pop Callout.
We want you to join the conversation with us, so let us know what your opinions or theories are in the comments. We upload new episodes every month on both YouTube and Spotify. Anyways, we'll see you again for the next episode.
Bye!
Bye!